How you doing, YouTube? Matt Massa Beer Reviews, back with a little bit of side-by-side, a little bit of aged side-by-side in the form of North Coast Old Stock, one of my favorite beers of all time, especially when it's old. 2011, 2012. These do not come from my cellar. Well, technically they do because they are now there. But these actually I bought on one of those secondary sites. I know, pshaw, should not pay into those things. I don't really buy anything off of those sites, but I'm curious. I'm a curious cat, and I do look at them quite often, just to see what beer's going for, see what people are coveting, what they're not coveting. Lucky enough, these beers really have little to no kind of secondary value. That doesn't necessarily equate to deliciousness. There's a lot of beers that are shitty that get a lot of money, and there's a lot of beers that are delicious, don't have any kind of secondary value, but they have a little bit of value. Let's put it that way. So, I popped on one of the sites, and this is kind of like close to where I wanted to pay for these. If I saw them on a shelf, I'd be like, okay, it's close, but no cigar. So the site I went on actually has an option to like name your price, and I was like, didn't uber low ball, put in what I think they're worth, and a person said, cool, that works for me. So yeah, ended up getting 4 bottles of the 4 or 5 bottles of the 12, 4 bottles of the 12 and 2 bottles of the 11. I figured it'd be a good time to do a side-by-side. It's going to be a weird side-by-side. You're talking about only 1 year difference. You're talking about 10 years versus 9 years. And markedly different beers. These beers come out every year, but they're always different. So I thought, side-by-sides, let's do it. So you're talking about North Coast Old Stock 2011. This is 11.9% alcohol by volume. North Coast Brewing Company. And over here we have the 2012 version. Exactly the same label, except it is 0.2% less in ABV. These glasses I love for like barley wine and stock ales. And one of the reasons why I like them so much is that they mimic an actual old stock glass that I cannot find. They made this old stock glass, and I've tried to find it for years and years and couldn't find it. But my grandma gave me these not too long ago for Christmas, and they're just my favorite shape to drink stock ale and barley wine out of. So we're gonna go with the 11 over here, 12 over there, do the old double pour on this sucker, and see where it gets us. They look almost virtually identical. Let me get a little platform for this boy over here. Don't want to put the 2012 out sitting on the ledge by itself. There you go. Okay, here we go. Yeah, almost exactly the same. I poured the 11 rather aggressively to try to catch up to the 12, and you can see the head isn't as big, but they look almost exactly the same. It's this washed out kind of iced tea kind of look to it. Exactly what I want my kind of old ales and barley wines to kind of age into kind of look-wise. So, yeah, off the light. Yeah, I could talk myself into this side being a micron darker, but I think they are absolutely identical. So let's get a nose over here. Not a huge nose, honestly. Just wash out, soft caramel, figgy, datey things. What you'd expect from kind of, for all intents and purposes over here, you're talking about an English barley wine. It's an actual old ale, it's old stock ale. It's more an English barley wine. That's what I'm getting on the nose. It's not super sugar daddy on the nose. Not a raisinette thing, but there's hints of that in there. So that's your 2011. Let's see what the 12 has to offer. I would say this is actually muted. More muted than this in almost every aspect, but it has a soft little sugar daddy component. It's a little bit bigger than this one. So while this one is a little bit richer and more delectable, I don't know what the word I'm looking for here is, richer, adult richer kind of sweetness across the way the fruits kind of come off, those dark kind of aged fruits, those kind of dates and figs and those kind of things, that burnt kind of caramel. This lacks a little bit of that, but it gets a little bit more towards that sugar daddy realm. Again, very soft noses, especially for the ABV level. Let's dive into the 11. Cheers. That's delicious. That is absolutely 100% delicious. I wish I knew which cap I pulled which one off. Because that is one cap right there. And that is another cap. So I'm assuming one of these is going to have a decent amount of oxidation in it. I'm not getting a ton of that over here. Getting a little bit of spicy bitterness, a little bit of oxidation, but nothing too terribly horrible. Yeah, quite nice. Yeah, tasty beer. Tasty beverage. What I remember Old Stock with age being not nearly as robust. I was hoping for a little bit more kind of richness, a little bit more raisinettiness from that 10 years. But it's nice. It's drinkable, more than drinkable. And while I want it to be more, I'm not disappointed in what I'm getting, at least in a 2011. Let's see what 12 has to offer. Cheers. It is almost identical. It's when I say that, and I kind of thought this might be the case, but I thought it was going to be worth doing a side by side, but apparently it's not. This tastes like a year newer version of this, but the beer varies so differently from bottle to bottle every year. But I've noticed a cool little trick that Old Stocks have. Yeah, just a slightly fresher version of this, but it's still both really tasty beers. I remember them when they're aged, because I mean, you can see up here I even have like 2001 bottles, 2000 whatever bottles. Actually, I have a 2011 bottle up there. Very kitschy. The cool trick that Old Stocks pull off, and I think I'm tasting that here, is that each one of them starts out, I think, decently different than the next. Granted, that's always based off of palate recall, because you're not going to have a fresh one that's old. So you're just remembering from the previous years. And the cool trick it pulls off is that they all tend to merge into a singular flavor profile, and a very tasty one, albeit years down the road. So even when they start off at different points, they tend to, obviously some variance to it, but they tend to kind of tighten up into the same kind of area after some time. I'd love to see these with another 5 to 6 years on them, get about the 15-year range. I think that's when these probably hit their stride perfectly. And that's going to happen. That's going to happen. How is that going to happen? So that's going to happen 15 years from now. So I'm having a boy. I'm having a son. I'm having my first child. A little late in life, but I'm having my first child. And I was thinking about what beer I want to share with my kid if he wants to drink beer with me. I don't know if he's going to want to. I'm not going to force him. That would be against the law, I believe. But I don't know. I figured what I'd do is I'd pick up a couple cases. I wanted to pick up a couple cases of 2021 Thomas Hardy Ale and just drink and review on the channel. One of those every year on his birthday. So, obviously I won't do this year's, only because I'll be in the hospital. Who knows? Maybe I'll bring one with me in the hospital, a little celebratory beer. Anyway, I'm going to review one every year until he turns whatever age is the drinking age in the future. And share a beer with him. It'd be cool just to review it every year. And, on due date's March 8th, but who knows when he's going to come. And basically just review the beer and see how it progresses over the year, each and every year. I don't think they're making Hardee's this year. I could be wrong, but I haven't been able to find any information about a 2021 version. Granted, we're early in 2021, but usually these things come across the press sheets and a kind of ticker well in advance of release, and I just haven't seen it. But I do know there's 2021 Old Stock is out there, so and it's just equally as good a beer to age, and probably a little bit cheaper for me to age. So I think I'm gonna pick up a couple cases of Old Stock and review it every single year. And if he wants to, if he's up for it, if he's game for it, we'll do a joint review when he turns of drinking age, because who knows what that's gonna be in the future. It could be 18, could be 21, could be 12. I don't know. I think that's gonna be a fun thing to do. Hopefully, I have the beer channel for that long. Hopefully I'm alive for that long. Yeah. Sorry for getting a little bit sappy. I don't know. Anyway, back to the beer. Yeah, I thought I was going to enjoy these a little bit more than I have. I still take me down memory lane. I remember this big, huge sugar daddy component that I love so much. It is missing that. It could be the way it was cellared. Like I said, these didn't come from my cellar. I purchased these online. But typically people who hold on to these kind of beers and have these in their cellar aren't letting them sit next to a furnace. And they're not negative. There's nothing off flavor about the beer. There's just lacks a little bit of richness that I typically associate with old stock. But also the recipe could have changed. The ones that I drank from the late 90s to early 2000s could be a different kind of, they've changed and the brewery brews them differently. But I'm going to tell you right now, I am not disappointed in what I purchased here. You know, you're talking about $45 for 6 bottles of these kind of beers with that kind of age on it. I don't have a problem with that. You're looking at about 6, 7, a little less than $7 a bottle. And that's fine by me, because the other ones are definitely going to be drank. They're going to be enjoyed. I'll probably share one or two with friends. Probably give one to Keith, definitely, and see what he thinks. And just, yeah, I love old beer. So I'm always going to have a good time here. So let's take another sip of each, close it out. That's delicious, though it is. This isn't going to change anything, but we got to do the old Cuvée. The old Cuvée. Let's see what's what. I kind of like that one. I think that's the best of both worlds. You get a little bit more of that kind of wide berth richness over here, and you get a little bit of that sugar daddy thing. Maybe I'm just romanticizing it in my brain, but I like that. That works. That little drop's going to help it even more. So there you go. A little bit of kind of like, I don't know, memory lane, reminiscent, future looking, whatever kind of review in the box. Taking it for what it will, for what you will. There you go. This is one of the better old ales, barley ones I've had as late age-wise, yes. Mount Rushmore status, no. Value and availability, like I said, I got 6 bottles for $45. I'm cool with that, and leave you with, if you like what we like this beer, if you like aged beer. Done and done. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the review. Hopefully enjoying a little bit of aged beer right now. Hopefully see you next time. Cheers.